It's an interesting perspective on the Avodat Chodesh Elul. So many different areas to focus on. Very interesting perspective I saw from the Sefer Chochmah Musar, the author of Kelm. It says, since the job of Rosh Hashanah is to lehamlich HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's to coronate HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our Melech, as our King, the only way that can be done is to fulfill the pasuk of Vayi bishurun melech beitasef roshei am yachad shiftei Yisrael. There has to be unity and togetherness, brotherhood amongst the shvatim, amongst all the different tribes. So the only way to properly accept HaKadosh Baruch Hu as our Melech is if we have a unity and a togetherness amongst us. And he says that's the avodah of Chodesh Elul, to prepare for Rosh Hashanah, to make sure there is brotherly love and ahava v'yachva shalom v'reut between the Jewish people. With that in mind, we have very interesting halakha, the zechut of what it is to work with the Tzibbur, to do a mitzvah which is torchei Tzibbur. Maran writes in Siman Tzadi Gimel that if a person is about to pray, he has to sort of clear his head first, and anything which is going to distract him from the tefillah, he really has to pause a few minutes before the tefillah and clear his head to be ready not to be distracted in the tefillah. What are some of the things that are distracting a person during the tefillah? Interestingly, limud Torah be'iyun. If a person studies Torah in depth, right up until the time of the tefillah, we say it's going to be distracting because his mind is still going to be where the limud was. His mind is going to be thinking about the Torah that he was studying. And therefore, a person is not supposed to start the tefillah immediately after limud be'iyun, but rather he's supposed to, studying Torah in depth, he's supposed to clear his head a little bit first. Maran writes in Sif Gimel that the same thing applies, possibly, to a person who is involved in Tzorchei Tzibbur. If a person is doing something to help the Rabbim, to help the public, to help the Jewish community, then also that's something which brings him great simcha. And therefore he should also take a break, a minute or two before he prays, if he was involved in something which is Tzorchei Tzibbur. Since that is very, very delightful for him and brings us a lot of joy and deep satisfaction, he has to take a break before a person prays. Maran goes even further. What if a person was involved in Tzorchei Tzibbur? Again, he's doing something for the community, and there's nobody else available at that time to take care of it. It has to be done then. And it also coincides with the Zman of Tefillah. Does he even have to stop what he's doing in order to pray or not? And the answer is, if he's osek b'Tzorchei Tzibbur, if he's involved in something with the community, and there's nobody else to do it, and it has to be done then, he's exempt from the Tefillah. He's exempt from the Tefillah in that circumstance. The question is, what about making up that tefillah? By the time the next tefillah comes around, does he have to make it up? He was involved in Tzorchei Tzibbur, he was involved in the public benefit, and there was nobody else, and it had to be done then. So he was exempt from the tefillah. But by the time, let's say, the next tefillah rolls around, let's say it's mincha, he was exempt for shacharit, now it's time for mincha. Does he have to make up the first tefillah? Like we usually say, that if a person was unable to pray one tefillah, for reasons beyond his control, he makes it up the next tefillah. So interestingly, Mishnah Berurah brings down in Siman Kufchet that over here we have a bit of a machloket. Some say, this is actually the consensus of Chacham B'Tzion Abba Shaul and the Kaf HaChaim, that a person does not have to make it up. If he was osek b'Tzorchei Tzibbur, he was patur min tefillah, he was exempt 100% from the tefillah, he does not even, no obligation whatsoever, he does not have to make it up the next tefillah. However, bottom line is, according to the Yalkut Yosef, since there are poskim that say in this case that he does have to make it up, the best advice is that the next tefillah, he should pray the next tefillah. Let's say the next one is mincha. So he prays mincha first, and then immediately afterwards he makes a voluntary, a donated tefillah, tefillat nedava, with the condition that if he in fact has to make up the tefillah, then this is his obligation. But if in fact halakha is he does not have to make it up, then this is merely a donated optional tefillah, and should pray with the most concentration possible. Again, in that case, you pray the proper tefillah in its right time, followed by the makeup or the nedava. Just goes to show a little bit what a tremendous zechut it is to be involved in Tzorchei Tzibbur, to do something which benefits the kehillah.